Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. Today is February 19th, 2026. And we have an update in regards to the elections with Victor Font making some moves and calling for unity. Also, Barcelona are reportedly interested in signing Marcus Thuram. And finally, Gerard Martin saying, I'm not leaving. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Boo, and I'm bringing you this short live because once again, I had to work really late, so I don't have time to film, edit, and post. Instead, I'm doing this live since I don't have to edit it. And of course, this is to bring you news. This is not a podcast, so I won't be reading any comments. But of course, tomorrow, it is podcast day, so make sure you tune in because podcast day are my favorite days. Anyways, let's dive right into the news because we have another election update. And I mean another because I went live a few moments ago. If you haven't seen that video yet, make sure you do. There was another election update, but it was in regards to Joan Laporta's campaign. And now it's time to talk about Victor Font's campaign. The other candidate, well, one of the other candidates, I should say, not the other candidate, but you know, if there's two main candidates, it's Laporta and Font. Of course, there is Marc Siria and Xavi Villajuana. But it's mostly going to be between Laporta and Font, even though, again, I do think Laporta is going to win. Now, Victor Font, who is probably the biggest candidate that's facing off against Joan Laporta, or that Joan Laporta is facing off against, I should say, has introduced during a campaign event new members of his team that would be, of course, part of the board of directors if he does get elected, and these three names that Victor Font has introduced would form what he calls kind of like the sporting department. You know, right now Barcelona have a sporting director, Deco. He kind of makes all the decisions. He runs the whole department. What he says goes. However, Victor Font presented an alternative to that. And instead of having one guy, one sporting director who runs the whole thing, instead it would be more of a sporting department or a sporting board that would make decision in conjunction. Now, who would make up this board or this sporting department? It would be first Albert Puig. He worked at Barcelona before. He was one of the directors of La Masia. Number two, Carles Blanchard. He would hold the official title of sporting director, even though he wouldn't be the only person to make decisions. He is an analyst who most recently worked with Pep Guardiola at Manchester City. And finally, Francesc Cos, who would be the director of performance and health. And he was the physical trainer, the guy in charge of all the physical trainers under Pep Guardiola at Manchester City. So a star-studded group here. Two guys who worked with Pep Guardiola recently in Manchester City, and another guy who used to be one of the directors of La Masia for many years. Now, during this event, Victor Font called for unity. And what I mean by unity is that Victor Font is calling for all the candidates to come together in order to oppose Joan Laporta. That way, increase the chances of defeating Joan Laporta. Because, of course, if you have some people voting for Font, some people voting for Siria, some people voting for Villajuana, if you put them all together, you might have enough people voting for whichever candidate would lead this group in order to defeat Joan Laporta. Now, Victor Font called for this unity because he believes that this election is not about choosing a candidate, but instead it's about choosing a model. Because as you know from many of the speeches that I've covered about Victor Font, Font believes that the model that Laporta is currently using to run the club is an outdated model, a model where it's kind of like Laporta and his inner circle of buddies, and they just kind of make decisions and they improvise and they just go at it day by day, where Font has been more an advocate of modernizing how the club is ran and instead run it kind of like a company, like a multinational company, like Microsoft, like Apple, something like that, where there would be a clear structure and where there would be different departments ran by different people whose expertise is in that department, and kind of each person would be in charge of that, and it would be more structured. There would be a CEO, et cetera, et cetera. So it would be more like running Barcelona like a multinational, which that's exactly what Barcelona is. So Victor Font is advocating for the unity of candidates because he doesn't believe this is about choosing a candidate, instead choosing a model. He believes that choosing Laporta would be choosing this outdated model versus choosing him or someone else who would represent the other candidates will be choosing modernizing the club. Now, another person who is currently making moves to make this happen is Joan Montal Camprubí, someone we talked about in this channel before. He is the son and the grandson of former Barcelona presidents. He was supposed to run as a candidate. He has decided not to, but that has not stopped him of being active in this election cycle. It looks like he's making moves behind the scenes to try to, make this happen, to bring the candidates together so they could defeat Laporta and, again, modernize the club, which is many of what these candidates are calling for. Now, the question, of course, will be who's going to be the candidate that leads this group, right? Because if you bring them all together, they each one have aspirations of becoming president. Is it going to be Font? Is Syria going to say, no, F you, I want to be the face of this? We're going to have to wait and see, right? But anyways, that's what's going on with the election. Now, let's move on to the next bit of news because Italian media sources have revealed that Barcelona have added Marcus Thuram to their short list of possible replacements for Robert Lewandowski. As you know, Lewandowski's contract will end in the summer, and Barcelona are currently on the hunt for a new center forward that could take his place. And Italian media sources are stated that Barcelona have added Marcus Thuram to their short list. Now, Barcelona have been linked with Thuram before. They considered signing him back when he was, before signing with Inter Milan, when he was a free agent. However, they opted for Vitor Roque since he was younger and more promising. Deco. Crickets. But now Barcelona are once again considering Marcus Thuram, who does have a contract until 2028 and has a market value of 60 million euros. Now, of course, signing Marcus Thuram will not be easy because it's being revealed that Inter Milan would want at least 80 million euros for their star, which right there, I would say absolutely not. Don't get me wrong, I like Marcus Thuram, but I've always thought of him more of a, even though he is a center forward, I've never saw him really as a true, pure number 9. To me, he's more of a second striker. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. For those who watch the Serie A more, tell me, is this just a wrong perception that I have, or am I right? But anyways, either way, 80 million for Marcus Thuram, I think that's absolutely crazy. I think Barcelona had a chance to sign him when he was a free agent, but as always, Deco blew it, signed Vitor Roque instead. So I think that ship has sailed. But of course, I want to hear you guys' opinion. What do you think about Marcus Thuram as replacement for Lewandowski? Yes, no, maybe? Let me know in the comment section. Now, let's end today's video because speaking of the Serie A, it's been revealed that Gerard Martin is not interested in joining the Italian league. Now, this is, of course, a follow-up to a news story I told you about in a previous video that AC Milan were very interested in signing Gerard Martin, that they wanted to make a push for him in the summer transfer market. But it's been revealed that Gerard Martin is simply not interested. His wish is to remain at Barcelona. As a kid, he dreamt of playing for Barcelona, and he's currently living out his dream. Not to mention, he has become an important player for Flick. Last season, he established himself as a substitute for Alejandro Balde. And this season, he's expanded his repertoire. Well, he now is also a left center back. And again, he's living out his dream, so he has no intention of leaving the club. In fact, this past summer, Gerard Martin drew attention from several Premier League clubs, and he said no because, again, he wanted to stay in Barca, and, well, things have not changed, and he still wants to stay at Barca. Plus, I don't see him why he would want to change by the summer. After all, he has played in 34 matches this season, 1,700 minutes. He's the 12th most used player by Hansi Flick. Not to mention, he recently renewed his contract with Barca until 2028 with a 100 million euro release clause. So, I'm sorry, AC Milan, but you cannot have Gerard Maldini. You're going to have to, settle for just having one Maldini, which was Paolo Maldini. You can't have the other one. Anyways, that is all, ladies and gentlemen. I did go live a few moments ago. If you haven't seen that video yet, make sure to check it out. Lots of interesting video news in it. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and as always, be scarso.